Good morning. I think your mic's muted, Sonia.
I look like a chola. Oh my God. I am looking like a chola. Oh. No.
Nope, cannot hear you at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I look like a chola, huh? Like for Belinda Flats.
No different than any other
Oh,
day.
shit, we are live.
Yes, we are live.
Well, then all my homies that are on Facebook, what's up? No, can't hear you.
Nothing yet.
Where's Brenda?
Brenda, I believe, is not going to be able to join us today.
Oh.
A scheduling conflict. Oh, so you guys changed your name to be your Instagram?
Yes, our Instagram tag.
Ooh. See, I got to learn more marketing from you guys.
It's fancy, huh?
I
Yeah,
have to
see,
find out.
yours could say at the warehouse dealers.
I think that is what it says. Let me see.
It says Hector Lopez.
Does it really?
Yeah, your display name right here.
Oh, yeah, no. For mine here, yes, but online is what I mean.
Oh no, you're the warehouse dealers online. Hey everyone, where's everybody at?
Oh, Sonia?
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
it sounds a little muffled though, but yes.
Yeah, it's because gotta keep this open. Okay, let me turn it this way. Okay, let's see. How about now? Can you hear me pretty good now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So good morning. Happy Wednesday. You guys missed my little dance number. And I said, where's Jennifer at a Dodger game? Because I just saw your chair.
Oh. I decided to sit in the backyard today to feel the energy of the sun and everything.
Ah, okay. I thought you were coming in. I thought you were going to be here today. So that's why.
I will be there after this.
Okay. So I was like, okay, wait, where is she?
Oh, I'm right here.
So yeah, so
Looking like a troll.
thank you so much, Hector, for filling in for Brenda. She has some mighty competition. I don't know. She should have never asked you to fill in for
Absolutely.
her. So well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hector was also going to be our guest, so we'll get into that shortly. But first, what we like to talk about is just kind of what's going on in the market. Give some feedback to those who are watching who want to know. It's really great times right now. The market is definitely still moving. There's a lot of buyers still buying. We're not. It's not as crazy as it was, and that because a lot of investors who are doing flips are flipping out because they're not getting the response that they were getting. They're still getting great offers and everything else, but obviously there was one point where it was ridiculously great. So but it's still there, it's still good. Market is definitely still moving. Just in this last past weekend, we've been selling our listings within 24 to 48 hours. Everything's going pricing right, condition matters, and it's gone. Those are key factors of what's kind of taking place. We went and spoke to an investor yesterday who has had a property listed for over 45 days. and cannot sell the property. So when I went to go look at it, it is on a busy street. It does back up to an alley. There is some, they did, upgrade it, but sometimes that's just not enough. Location is important. Obviously condition is important. But his price he was just overpriced. And I did, I was honest with him and I let him know, you definitely need to bring your price down. He still has a great profit margin, but of course nobody wants to lose money, but it's money you never had because, it was projected, but it just, it's not what it is. But you gotta move quick, because the longer you have that home sitting there, the less desirable it becomes. And we all know, how that works. So, but definitely yesterday, as well as I was searching for homes for a client, I'm noticing that homes are falling out of escrow. And what's funny is you get some buyers who call and they're like, I had a friend who fell out of escrow. How does that happen? Is that going to happen to me?
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand how, what makes things fall out of escrow. So
Right.
if you want to touch on that, both of you guys.
Yeah, well, I actually have an example this week. I was hoping Lauren would be here to talk about it a little bit, but so I referred some friends of mine, some long-term friends that that I've known since high school, over to Lauren, our junior here that does residential. They they have they both have great jobs. They're expecting, and they've fallen out of escrow twice due to appraisal. That's mainly what it is. And it's from what I've seen is maybe about a $60,000 gap. Price, home prices are being overpriced by that much, according to appraisal. So they went in at 565 in Riverside area. Appraisal came back at 505. Same thing, and that was the Zillow one. That was the one that was with Zillow. Zillow needed to get at least like 545. So obviously the bank is not going to land over what what the appraisal is. Unless you guys know something that I don't, because that would help us a lot.
No.
So unfortunately, they don't have the additional, not just their deposit, but the additional $60,000 to put into the house, to essentially, from their eyes, overpay for the property, right? Because that's what it is. So that's happened twice now, where we're trying to find some sort of language, but I mean, no seller is going to agree to accept $10,000 over appraisal, or $15,000, $20,000 even over appraisal, when their gap is $60,000 over, right? So either that property is gonna, I'm assuming, sit on the market for a while. I mean, what would you tell your buyer in that situation? Is it just they just need more money? I mean, what do you tell them?
I think there's a lot that goes to it before even getting into escrow and before listing your home. That's where it's key. Preparing your buyer, preparing your seller, both of them, because we have market value and then we have people paying up here above market value. But the market's that gap is getting a little bit smaller, but it's still there. So for sellers, they want this because this is what they've heard for the past few months. But now we have to say, hey, it's coming, this is your market value. You're still getting over market value as a seller. As a buyer, I think for me, it's like you really have to look at the comps when you're writing an offer for your buyer to make sure that you're not over, right? You're not over promising on your offer. Make sure that what you are writing the offer for, you believe it will appraise for. If you don't think so, and your client doesn't have that cash, then just
don't even get into escrow.
Don't even get into escrow if you really feel like that's, there's such a large difference. But I think that if people have the right representation, people, experienced agents is becoming a huge thing right now. There's a lot of people falling out of escrow, and those listing agents are calling agents that they know are in the market and know how to close transactions.
Yes, and what's funny?
Calls yesterday.
Since you mentioned that, during the last, they've been looking for a little while, but during the last month, while we've been in escrow twice, other offers that we submitted in other locations, we've been getting calls back. Hey, we fell out of our other escrow. Are your guys still interested? Right. Yeah. And then they give us the same story, which again, the numbers still come in, kind of coming out to about 60,000, where they're saying well, we listed the house for 580, but the appraisal came in at 525. Do you think you guys would be able to do close to 580? It's like, well, no. If the appraisal's there, what's your expectation of the appraisal, catching up? And it seems like at what point will the appraisals finally catch up, or will it ever catch up?
Do you think, Hector, Sonia, or us as professionals have to set the expectations of the market to our sellers, and then that's when the market will, it'll come back together. I think that's my opinion. Like, we really need to set the expectations, let them know, this isn't 6 months ago where people were paying 100 in LA County, 100,000 over wasn't even getting you the house. I mean, now I think it's still the same in LA County in some areas. And again, a lot of properties do want more than appraised value right now, but that gap, we have to slowly bring the sellers back down to market value reality.
It makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Yeah. I mean, commercial, we do the same thing. We more or less do our own appraisal. We don't really worry too much about appraisals in commercial, because most of the time the buyer's doing either a 1031 exchange or they're coming in at all cash. That's very, very common in our industry. I think I didn't talk to the first lender in my entire career since last year. Last year was the first time I ever talked to a lender from a buyer. So for us, it's very common to be an all cash thing. In our appraisals, half the time there's just no appraisals. It's just, it is what it is, because it's somebody using this property for something, or it's, the value. It's very, for us, it's simple to calculate based off of what the numbers are showing and what you could actually rent out the space for, right? So what is it worth? Whatever someone's willing to pay for it. That's
exactly.
That's really how it is for us. So
yeah, I think that's how it goes in real estate altogether. It's worth whatever the buyer's willing to pay for it, and buyers not willing to pay over appraised value anymore. You're not seeing it as often. So some buyers,
or they just can't.
The capability. Yeah, they cannot.
Yeah, especially first-time buyers. Right? It is miserable for first-time buyers right now. Right? It's such a difficult time. You have to be so ready. You have to be so ready, and you have to be patient, because it does take a long time. Again,
I always think that comes down to us as the professional and preparing our clients for the market and letting them really know what to expect. But sometimes still, they have their expectations and their hopes and things, but that's where we come in, and we help them and guide them through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. It does a client no good to just be nice to them and say yes to everything. You have to, realistically show them what they're supposed to do and why they're doing that, right? So absolutely. You can't just always be nice.
No, you could be nice and still do that.
You have to be upfront and honest. I think they'll respect you more by doing that. You'll have more respect, because in the beginning they may not agree, or they may feel like I've heard otherwise, or whatever the case is. But then they're going to remember you when that point comes. Yep. And they're saying, oh, this was what she had said, or this is what I was warned about. This is what it is. So then, at that point is when, your knowledge, your expertise, and everything is appreciated because of that. And so, and you know what? It's just depending on who you're working with. I think it's super important to, that's what we're here for. A lot of people want to know why we get paid, the big bucks per se. And it's for your knowledge. It's for your experience. There's a lot of, new agents, unfortunately, that don't have that. So they don't know, where to guide. So that's why sometimes some of the buyers feel like, well, what am I getting with this? So you're not just a tour guide. There's so much more to it. When you actually, look at everything that it is that we do. But we definitely have to be smart right now. When you're talking to your sellers about pricing, there are homes that are unique, that are one of a kind, that, possibly don't have comps. And then you're dealing with, I have an example. I have it. It's not even my client, but one of the agents has a home that their value came in, I think like almost 50,000 below. But when I looked at the appraisal, I feel like the appraiser was lazy. You know, they just pulled comps, didn't even check, didn't compare.
Yeah.
Size compared, but this home was burnt, so it was rebuilt. You know, so it's basically a brand new home. You know, new roof, new plumbing, new electrical. You know, new everything. You know, all everything in there, flooring, walls, kitchen, bathrooms, and they're comparing it to homes that are, because it's a 1968 originally built. They're comparing it to 1968 homes that have zero upgrades. It looks, the pictures are horrible. You can't compare that. You know, a buyer is willing to pay more for that because it's like a brand new home. So that's something I just don't understand. Right now, they're trying to show the appraiser, you know, why, you know, that's obviously that's not the value. There's two homes that sold that he did not use as comps that were completely upgraded, like by investors. So it's like, why didn't he use those comps? That made more sense. That's more along the value of the home that they're buying, opposed to homes that are, you know, nobody was willing to bid overbid because there was so much work that needed to be done to them. So they had to price them, you know, at the lower end of the market. So that is kind of frustrating. So as an agent, it's important for you to show up to the inspection with the appraiser, and you know, talking to them and saying, hey, I just want to make sure that, you know, you're going to compare to, like, you know, like properties. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I've just had experiences in the past, and I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen again, you know, because obviously you don't want to offend them because they take a, you know, that's their job, and I get it. But again, we just want to make sure that they are using, you know, the best comps, you know, the best things. Because I'll tell you right now, I've had clients who call and say, hey, I'm interested in selling. This is what I believe my price is. And I said, well, where are you basing that? And they said, well, there was one that sold for that price. I said, okay, that's one. We need 4 or 5 comps. You know, we're going to average. We're not going to go off one sale. So when you do the average, this is really where you are. You know, that person got more because a buyer was willing to pay more, because look at its condition. Look at the other things it had. So it's kind of the same thing. So that's kind of what we do, is we just educate them to, you know, definitely list at, you know, market value or slightly below, because you want as many buyers that are qualified to walk through that door and see the home. When you overprice, you have 1 or 2 buyers, and if you're lucky, if you get an offer that is, you know, that's acceptable to you, you know, you might get one, but at the end of the day, it's not the right one, so you end up falling out of escrow. So
Yep.
but that's kind of what we're seeing. We are seeing, like I said, definitely multiple offers. We are seeing homes still selling. We have, you know, buyers calling all the time. You know, you know, do you have an agent? Yes, I do. Where's your agent? I don't know. You know, I'm kind of doing the legwork myself. They said when I find something to let them know. That really shouldn't be how it is. You know,
Right.
we have access to way more than they do. You know, a lot of agents are showing them that they don't need us. If you're telling your client to go look and let you know, they don't need you. And that's the part where they don't understand, you know, um, what happens. So I mean, that's just my opinion.
I
No,
think
absolutely.
a lot of my education and you know what happens when I'm showing homes to buyers. You know, we're having conversations and they get educated. So if you're sending your buyer without you, they're not, you know, like some, they don't need us. You
Mhm.
know. Mhm.
And
Hi,
you're not building
Katie.
a relationship. Yeah, good morning, Katie.
Mhm.
You're not building a relationship with these people either. You know,
Yeah.
they feel like, you know, there's obviously something more important for you to be doing than to be, you know, than to be spending the time with them to show them. You're not getting the feel for what it is that they need, what it is that they're looking for.
Yeah.
um, and another thing too is we have buyers who simply believe that by going directly to the listing agent, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
get the property. And
Right.
and, and I can't stress that enough. Because I get that calls all the time, you know, from buyers, and they're like, I don't have an agent. I'm going to work directly with the listing agent. And I said, well, I personally don't double end my deals, because it's a conflict of interest that I don't want to place myself in, and it's uncomfortable for me. I prefer to, be loyal to who hired me, and that's my sellers, because then it becomes it's an emotional process.
Yeah.
So as you're going through it, they may say, "Hey, Sonia, I want this to get done." So I have to go over here and hear their side. Someone's always going to feel left, like, I'm favoring one over the other. There's
Yeah.
just no way around it. And I prefer, not even, it's too much stress. It's not worth it, to be honest, to do that. So that's just me personally. But I've told some of these buyers, because when they call you directly, they assume, hey, if I go directly through you, what is that? What is that saying? That they believe that the agents are thinking about their pocket, not their sellers.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Yeah.
they're not saying, you know what, if you're the best offer, then yeah, we'll go with you and I'll be happy. No, they're not saying that. They're like, give me the best deal. How low can I go to get in this home? So basically undermine your seller. So again, that what you signed up for and what you swore when you signed that listing agreement with your seller, you're basically showing, a different side to this buyer. What does that say about you as a professional? So that's why for me, I get very, very, it's a very touchy subject for me,
Yeah.
because I don't, to me, it's not, I can't stress it enough, how they just, that's what their thoughts are. And it's our fault as agents. We're creating this because we're showing them, instead of saying, you know what, no, you can work with me. I'll be happy to work with you, but you're just like anyone else. Opposed to, hey, yeah, I'm going to make a few extra dollars if you work with me. So yeah, I'll give you a better hand on it. That's not fair.
Yeah.
It simply isn't. But so, like I said, to me, it's it's important for us as agents to educate the public, so that way they understand, what the importance is to have a buyer's agent, how hard we do. There are agents who work hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
They do. We're in those trenches every day, trying to find the deal, trying to get them into escrow, trying to make sure it's the right escrow. There's a feeling where you can sell a home and you're just like, okay, but that feeling when it's the one where you see them, you envision them there, and you're doing the right thing, like they're going to be so happy here, instead of settling for something. Like, let's just say, for instance, you're putting offers and offers and offers and offers, and then you're not getting any bites, and then this one that's, maybe in a bad area, or maybe torn down, or just maybe needs work, and that, number one, they shouldn't be living in that area, or number two, they don't have the means to to fix it up to whatever it needs to be fixed up to. But you're just like, oh my god, we're just desperate, we just want anything. That's not a good feeling.
No.
You're not, I'm not satisfied. And so for me, when I see that they get their number one choice, or they get, the home that I totally envisioned them in, and I see their excitement, it's like, that's when you did your job. Not when you settled. It's when you got them what they were looking for. So that's just a feeling you can't replace, at all. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
but
100%.
like I said, our values are still there for sure. So we'll get into what that our market updates look like. So right now in Chino, we still, our inventory is still low. But typically during this time, it usually is. So this right now is kind of the norm, I would say. But there's a lot of activity, still going on. There's a lot of agents who checked out, who are gone with their families or on vacation, which is fine. There's still other agents here working, because we understand there's a lot of buyers and sellers still wanting to make their moves right now. So 27 listings on the market in Chino, 57 under contract, 47 have closed, and 687 list price, average sales price 695. So you are still seeing the home selling above, not as crazy as it was, but they are still selling above. And again, it's all based on how you price your home. We do see a lot of price drops, but it's not because the market's going down. It's because it was overpriced to begin with. So again, you have to understand that, because I know a lot of people say, well, I see all these price adjustments, but it's not because that that it's going down. That's not what it is. So average days on the market was 20 on that one. So in Ontario, we have 38 listings, 59 under contract, 92 closed, 635 list price with 654 sales price. So again, above 15 days on the market. So still selling very quickly. On Harupa Valley, 14 active listings on the market, 49 under contract, 46 closed, 640 average list price, 656 with 17 days on the market. Like this is what I was mentioning. We just sold 2 homes in this area, and both were gone within 24, 48 hours. We were already negotiating multiple offers. Both went, I want to say, at least 40,000 above. We actually had offers even higher than that. But again, it comes down to not the highest offer. Don't assume I'm going to offer the highest and that's enough. It's not. Yeah, in some cases, some people are focused on the money. But the thing is, if it doesn't appraise, that offer didn't exist. That money's not there. So there's, when I'm, assisting a seller, we definitely focus on other things, not just on price. And I'm proud to say on these 2 particular properties, they did select 2 VA buyers. So VA buyers, fortunately, are, at the bottom of the barrel for some reason. They should not be. I hear from agents, your client's not putting any money down, and I have someone putting 20% because they don't have to. It's a privilege. It's not that they don't have the money. It's not any of that. It's they don't have to. This is, what they earned. So we got to change that mentality. We got to change it. We got to show our clients, it's a VA loan is just as good as a conventional loan. It really is. And it's just,
it's better.
Yeah. It's like, so don't knock it, don't knock it. It's for sure. And so, but it takes a very slim amount of agents who for whatever reason feel that that's important. And real quick on that note, it wasn't a VA offer, it was a FHA offer, but last week I wrote an offer for one of my clients. They're putting 5% down, FHA, and the agent said, Sonia, he says, I'm sorry, you guys didn't get your offer, but you guys are in second place. It was really tough, how to choose, but my seller chose this buyer. They were conventional and they were putting 20% down and they had a lot of money in the bank. And I said, but what does having a lot of money in the bank have to do with your seller? They're not getting that money. Like, I don't understand what does the amount of money they're putting down have to do with it? You need to pick the right buyer who's motivated. And that's one thing right now. You need to pick that buyer who's motivated, because if they're not motivated enough, that's how fast they'll walk away from something simple. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that happened on Thursday. Well, on Monday, I text him. I'm like, hey, just wanted to let you know we're still here. They still really love that home. Well, he called me yesterday. He said, you know what, Sonia, those buyers aren't performing. They said that they don't like the backyard after all. Really? So again, what is it? What did all of that money in the bank do for your seller? Nothing. So again, it's super important not just to look at financials. That's important. They have to qualify, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is talk to the agent, get a background on those buyers. Are they looking at other properties? Is this their first choice? Because we all know buyers are looking at submitting multiple. If you say no, you're lying. So again, those are all important things because you have that duty to your seller. And if you're in front of your seller saying this is the best offer because they have more money, again, you're not doing it right, because what is that money going to do for them? If they don't like the backyard, nothing. They could have redone the backyard. They have all that money, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's right.
So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So Hector, you're up.
All right, so let's take a look. Now, I don't have very much experience, but I will have some questions for you guys during this. So yes. Rancho Cucamonga, which is somewhere that I'm thinking about maybe moving to soon. So
I know, great agent. Let me know.
do you? Okay, because I actually, you know what? I actually never represent myself. Whenever I purchase homes in the past, I've always chosen someone who's an expert in, that particular real estate and in that particular area. So I'm very picky on who I like to be represented by, as we all should be, right? You don't want somebody who's brand
Absolutely.
new. You want somebody who's experienced, and it's as a new agent, wouldn't you recommend them to work with somebody who's experienced, so that they could at least go under their wing and not just be floating around? But anyways, so 58 listings currently for sale in the Ranch Cucamonga area, 110 that are pending and under contract, which I'm actually pretty surprised. That's more than Ontario, right?
What's that? The average?
There's more pending under contract in Rancho than Ontario. Why is it? And is it Ontario cheaper? Is it Ontario a larger city?
Ontario is a larger city, yes. And so you're asking why is there less? It's just the inventory, just the amount of people.
Why is a more expensive market have more pendings and under contract?
It's just a more desirable.
Yeah, more desirable.
Okay. Interesting. Average home price sold 801,000. Average days on the market 20. Currently for sale, average price is 789, and 120 homes sold within the last 30 days, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of people, what they're doing is they're selling, and they're either moving their families into a city where they want to continue to raise their kids. So a lot of people have equity. So although it's higher, they're able to take their equity and and now could afford to live, or now are willing to make that that move. Whereas before, it's kind of silly, but in a way it's not, because people are in different phases of their life,
Right.
so making more money now and stuff like that. So, or willing to gamble a little bit more.
Right. Next slide, please. There we go. San Bernardino. 70 new listings right now. 167 under contract. 456 average sold price. 16 days on the market. 444 average listing price, and 177 homes sold in the last month. That is pretty crazy to me, because I'm not a huge fan of San Bernardino. I would rather walk around at nighttime in Pomona than to go during the day in a lot of areas of San Bernardino. So that's very surprising for it. But I guess that's why is that? It's just large city, cheap,
inexpensive. And there are some, just like any places, there is good places. There is good places in San Bernardino. A lot of people love to be by the college, especially investors. There's a lot of duplexes and investments because you have students who don't want to necessarily live on the dorm, but want to maybe rent a home with multiple students in the area.
That makes sense. I think I've only been to the industrial areas, so I think I've only been to the bad parts so far.
You should take a drive up north by the college. It's actually some really
okay.
nice
I don't think I've been in that area yet. So.
Yeah,
we're gonna drop you off on Baseline and Waterman for a little bit.
please do not, please.
And a community, Rosina Ranch, is part of San Bernardino.
Yeah.
And so those numbers in Rosina Ranch, I don't know if you know where that's at, but it's right off the 15 in Glen Helen, which is a newer community. So they have a lot of activity in there as well.
Yeah.
And the prices remain around there. They're pretty inexpensive compared to surrounding cities.
You're in the 650s up there.
Yeah, Rosina Ranch is. So that does bring up the averages,
Okay.
For San
Good to know. Redlands, which Redlands is a great market that we're starting to tap into right now for the industrial market, because industrial is going out east more. So this is very interesting for me. 43 new listings that are for sale right now. 53 pending under contract. 583 average price sold. 21 days average days on the market. 581 average price for what is currently for sale, and 81 homes sold in the last 30 days. Quick question on this. So 81 homes sold. How many of those homes, like like the big agents, like you guys, how many of those would you say is market share for like the largest agents or offices? What makes up like the largest amount? Because for us, as an example, if there are 20 warehouses sold in a year in a city, because it's not that many, 20 in a year, it's usually 50% of the market's done by like one company.
No,
I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would just say, I think though, in your commercial class on Tuesday, you were talking about how small the commercial industry is. So that makes a huge difference compared to residential. I don't know. I don't study like agent market share. I don't have my own brokerage, so I don't do that. But I think that's a huge reason why, a huge factor. And then there's so many agents, that saturate the Inland Empire. I don't know if there is a particular market share. That would be interesting to know. What do you think, Sonia?
Yeah, I would say, to be honest, we're anywhere between 5 and 7% would probably be the highest. There, like she said, there really isn't. There really isn't like an agent or a brokerage that dominates any particular place, because, like she said, there's so many. If you go on the MLS, you don't see usually the agent twice. It's not very common.
Yeah.
For that
so there's plenty of room to dominate. is basically what I'm hearing. Awesome. Okay. Highland, 21 new listings, 34 that are pending under contract, 523 average price on homes sold, 17 days on the market, 512 on current average listing price for those that are currently for sale, and 45 homes sold in the last 30 days. I'm not familiar with Highland very much.
Yeah.
Colton, 19 active listings. Oh, sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, is this yours?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'll keep going. So go for it.
Keep going, Hector. Keep going.
No, I'm good.
So in Colton, there's 19 active listings on the market. 37 went pending under contract. 34 closed. Average price, list price, $464. Average sale price, $474, with 16 days on the market. And then Rialto had 27 active listings. That's about one a day. 56 pending under contract. 77 closed. Average list price is $507. Average sale price $514, with 18 days on the market. And Fontana. 86 active listings in the market, 173 pending under contract. That's a lot of houses. 162 closed. 583 is our average list price. 593 average sale price, and 22 days on the market. So I guess I said that's a lot in comparison to the other cities. 173. Fontana's a big city with lots of new builds coming. Hello. Oh, Hector, you're muted.
A lot of good retail going in there too.
Fontana. Yeah. Rialto too, right? Or I see a lot of industrial off the 210. Yeah.
I think that's something that's really important as well. Is I've invested in residential real estate before, and I learned a couple things. Where when there's a recession, it's typically the outskirts of Inland Empire that take the first hit, and they're the last to recover as well, compared to Los Angeles and near Los Angeles. And a lot of that has to do with the jobs, right? So where are the jobs? I used to invest a lot in Victorville before there was the big boom. This was maybe about 15 years ago. So it's all about the jobs, right? And right now, because of Inland Empire, there's so much warehousing. You can really, I mean, you can live in Victorville and easily commute down the hill, right? Inland Empire is the hottest market in the United States, possibly the world. But there's so many more jobs there right now that I think I'd like to say that Inland Empire is going to be a lot safer now than it would have been, 20 years ago.
Why?
Because jobs, more jobs, distribution.
You mean safer as an investment?
Yes. Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I think up the hill, Victorville, those are great places for investors to start. If you're thinking about starting at lower price margin, you'll get your money up there.
Yeah. I remember buying it when the recession happened in 2000. I think it was like the end of 2008 is when I purchased something where the previous family had bought it for $386. I bought it for $155 at that time.
Wow.
So it was and that was within a year and a half of when the bubble burst. Right, within a year and a half, it went down that much. So, like I said, Inland Empire has been known to be the first one that takes the hit and the last to recover, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, that is, I mean, I know a lot of people I think are waiting for that, for that to happen. If you were able to take advantage of whatever you were at that time, even up to like 2015, 16, you still, even if you bought a couple years ago, we just sold one that they profited in a year and a half, 100,000. It's crazy. So, I mean, it's just never a bad time, especially if you're going to raise your family in it, you're going to live in it. Obviously, if you're looking to invest, it's a different story. You're looking at different things. But if it's your primary residence, it's a home for you and your family, it's just not a bad time. And that's the thing where a lot of people say, well, people are telling me to wait. And we already know tomorrow's not promised. So what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
We already know tomorrow's not promised. So what?
So Hector, if
Yes.
let's say I have a client that says, Jennifer, I want to start my own clothing store at a strip mall. What should they expect the average in the Ontario area, the Inland Empire, to pay in rent? Just a basic number for a
for us, square footage especially is very, very important. For a clothing store, if it's a startup,
let's say they're just thinking, I'm going to just go for it. We're not promised tomorrow. I want to open up a business. What do I need to do?
We get that about 3 times a week. There's actually a lot. So since COVID hit, we've actually had a lot of new businesses start. So starting a new business is very difficult to find a location for. They have to have a lot of money, basically, is what it comes down to. So for us, what we do is we put together an entire package. In that package, we need to make sure that they have a resume of how they know the industry first. They have to have some sort of experience. So if it's a clothing, company, do they have retail experience working at Tilly's or working at Macy's or JCPenney? That all counts. Seeing how inventory is, any experience counts when you're starting, that kind of business or any kind of business really. So that's the first thing. They need to know what they're getting themselves into, because we'll advise sometimes not to do it. Right? Sometimes that's what we'll do. So price-wise. So if they're going to start off, most of the time, if they don't have a ton of money, they're not, billionaires, then they're probably going to start off with something about 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. Okay, so 2,000 square feet, the average price in Ontario is going to be around $1.20, about $1.20 per square foot, plus something called triple nets. Okay, triple nets include your common area maintenance, your property taxes, your insurance, property management, and a couple other common area, type of utilities and whatnot. So that's an additional 45 cents alone. So you're talking about $1.65 per square foot. So if you're going into 1,000 square feet, that's $16.50. If you're looking at 2,000 square feet, $3,300. That's what it's going to be. In order for you to be seen from a landlord as a trustworthy gamble, okay, you're basically going to need to have at least a year to 2 years worth of rents in your bank account for at least like 6 months. Because a lot of times what will happen is someone's going to inject money into your bank account. You'll show that. And as soon as they get the lease, what happens? They take the money out and give it back to the guy who put that money in there. So they need to show a history of that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's all negotiable.
That's good information.
Not lesser areas that aren't as desirable. They're obviously going to be cheaper, and especially for retail location, you'll pay double if you're in Victoria Gardens, right next to Canes, right?
Yeah,
those guys are paying $6, $7, $10 per square foot because of location. Wow. Because you don't have to spend as much money on your marketing to get people to come to your store. But if you're way in the back in a shopping center, in a Vietnamese shopping center where you're selling, clothes, where the people that go to that shopping center aren't going to be the ones that necessarily walk into your store, you have to spend so much money on marketing. I mean, you could have just spent more on a location.
On location.
Yeah. For
That's
retail.
Good information. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess for retail, location matters as well.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the most important thing for when it comes to retail. Yeah, there's a price difference even being.
It's 11 o'clock.
Like where our office is, it would be considered to be an end cap. Next door to us, the cupcake place would be an inline. An end cap will be more expensive than an inline, just because 20, 30 feet over, it's going to be more expensive. Or inlines can be less expensive.
You have more visibility from two sides, I guess. That's why.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, so retail is very important for that. Industrial, on the other hand, it's more of just location and how far you are. Well, so location to transportation.
Yeah.
And how far you are from, if you're doing like a distribution, how far you are from like a FedEx or a UPS distribution center. That's what's important. So I have clients who they've maxed out how much they can send out of a FedEx because they're in 1 million square feet. So they could only ship out so many containers from there, where FedEx and UPS will no longer accept any more shipments from them on a day-to-day. So they now have to move add another location to Irwindale so that they can now ship to Irwindale from that new location. That's how busy it's gotten for a third-party logistics.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All those Amazon orders you guys are doing out there.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of them are stuck at the ports. All that merchandise is stuck at the ports right now.
So what's going on with that?
So it's a bottleneck, right? It's there's only so much that can go through the port. They have to prioritize. It's very expensive to pass those containers through. During COVID, here in the United States, we don't manufacture anything, right? So it's all coming from other countries, unfortunately. So the priority has to be on food, right? Because food can, it's perishable. But as these countries are now manufacturing the items that we've, been ordering from, China, Taiwan, Vietnam, now they're all coming in at the same time during this window, and we just don't have enough drivers. We don't have enough crew members at the ports to receive. And another one is these. So oftentimes, while their their containers are ready to show up, they don't have a big enough facility, right? And it's not as easy to go find another location because prices have jumped up like on average of like 30% every year for the last 2-3 years. It's probably the last 4 years. It used to be 40 cents a square foot to rent a huge warehouse. Then it went up to 60, 80. Now we're at about $1.50, $1.60. So it's absolutely ridiculous how expensive everything's been.
It's crazy.
So if you're holiday shopping, do it quickly. Don't wait till the last minute. Otherwise, you're just going to be grabbing gift cards because things will be delayed. Things will be lost. Remember that the workforce right now, while there's a lot of great workforce, veterans that have stayed in there, there's a lot of bad ones and new ones that have basically not had a job necessarily, in the last, year and a half or two. I'm sure you guys have noticed that when you go to restaurants, the food isn't as great as you kind of remember it, and the staff isn't as friendly or well trained as they used to, as well. But you know what? I like to give them the benefit of the doubt because, hey, they're working. They're not, just receiving a check from Uncle Sam. So at least they're working. But that's going to take a little while.
Yeah.
Oh, Sonia, you're muted.
Yeah, you see we're hiring signs everywhere.
Oh yeah, and I've seen where we walk in and it says, "Please bear with us." We have a very limited staff, so if you're hungry, go to McDonald's. But if you want real food, it takes time to prepare it. And we have a chef, but he's on his lunch right now. So.
Yeah. And they're working them double. I went to a resort this last weekend for a vacation, and this poor bartender. There must have been 10 people in line. He's the only bartender because the second bartender was running to be receptionist for the dinner, next door to the other restaurant. So he was by himself, just shaking drinks, So they're just understaffed. Everyone's understaffed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you still hear that there's no jobs. It's like there is jobs, and you even see them posting, their wages now. They're just getting desperate. So
yeah, McDonald's at $20 an hour.
Yeah,
my dad has drivers who barely got their driver's license at $25 an hour in LA. The average right now, it doesn't matter what our minimum wage is. What the workforce is willing to work for is at least $20 an hour right now.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a job, it's a good time to go get a job because you're going to get paid higher hourly,
Absolutely.
When you were getting, maybe $12 an hour, now you can go and get $20 an hour. So go to work.
Yeah, my mother-in-law, she's been working at a place for 15 years. I think she's at like $18 an hour, and they're hiring people at 20 something. So she's like,
I'm gonna quit and get rehired.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. She better ask for more than what they're hiring for because she's already experienced.
Exactly. So
and they're proving her loyalty.
Exactly. So it's definitely a weird time. We're still bouncing back from from COVID, from the shuts down, more so than anything. So we'll see where where it lands.
It's definitely crazy.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we know, working real estate, residential, commercial, it has its different things. A lot of times residential is more emotional, because they're dealing with where they're going to raise their families, where they're going to live, and commercial is more about money, numbers, have to make sense. Like Hector was saying, the visibility. And that actually goes for us here in our office in Remax. We're in the same shopping center, but we almost went across the way where it was a little bit more than a third less in rent. But it was the visibility. And so it is location, and that's the same in residential, again, location, you're going to pay more. So you have to decide what is more important to you, at the end of the day, like you said, the visibility, or you having to come out and market yourself a little bit more. So either way, you're going to pay for it one way or another. You just have to decide how you want to pay for it.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. The hour went by super fast.
Yes.
We want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving next week. It's already the end of November. Wow.
Oh my God, crazy.
Yeah. 2021 has just zoomed by. So, hopefully you guys are looking forward to Christmas and the, your New Year's parties, end of the year parties. So, well, thank you guys again for joining us, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Bye. Great show, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good job.
Bye.